Hi everybody, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make these cute crochet pies. I will show you the version that makes a pumpkin pie for the purposes of this tutorial, but of course if you change the color of the filling, the pattern is good for any other kind of pie. The pattern I have developed also includes two different sizes. This tutorial will actually go through the larger size pumpkin pie, which is this one. And I will also show you some different ways to finish your crochet pie, one with a lattice and another one by making a little crochet cream topping, as well as how to make this into an amigurumi. So without further ado, let's get started on our pattern. So to make your beautiful little crochet pumpkin pie, you'll need a few things. The list is quite long depending on the kind of finish you're going for. So I will leave all of those items listed in the description box below. But to get you started on the actual no-sew part of the pattern, which is making the crust and the top, you will need your 3mm hook. You'll also need a light brown yarn for making the crust and the lattice if you're decorating it in that way. And then of course another color, in which in this case it's orange because we're making the pumpkin pie, and that will be the color for your filling. In addition to that, you will need a pair of scissors to cut your yarn with, like this. You will also need a darning needle to weave in the ends when you need to. And you will also need a stitch marker. You will also need some polyfill, optionally a piece of cardboard that you can use to stabilize and make sure that the bottom of your pie remains nice and flat. So the first thing we will work on is the base of our crochet pumpkin pie, which is worked in the round with increases of single crochets. So to start off, take your light brown yarn and make a magic circle. And in this magic circle, place 6 single crochets, and I will use the adapted X single crochets. And the main difference compared to your normal single crochets is that you yarn under rather than over when you go through the stitch, or in this case the magic ring. So take your hook, go in the magic ring and yarn under and pull through the yarn, and then complete just like a normal single crochet. So yarn over and pull through both loops. Right. So let me show you this once more. Take your hook, go through the magic ring, yarn under, and you can see the yarn comes from the bottom to the top. Pull it through, yarn over and pull through 2. The easiest way for me to explain this motion is that I take my hook and I take it behind the working yarn and I just pull it through. So make 6 single crochets in this way. And once you've done 6, close this by pulling the little yarn. So having finished our first round, we'll continue by making a round of increases, so that at the end of this second round we have 12 single crochets. And you will work an increase by going and making 2 single crochets in each stitch. From now onwards, also always replace your stitch marker so that you don't lose the start of your round. Now for the next round, you will work 1 increase, so 2 single crochets in the first stitch, and then you will make 1 single crochet. And you'll repeat this across your piece. So for the next round, you will make an increase followed by 2 single crochets. For the round after that, you'll make an increase followed by 3 single crochets. So you will continue along this way until you reach a total of 36 single crochets. So I have now reached round 6. I'm almost finishing this one here, and I have 36 single crochets. And you'll see that my shape is still looking quite circular, and this is because as of round 4 I started offsetting my increases. So if you want to see how you can do that, just check my blog post because I describe this in a bit more detail. But let's get started on our next round. And for this one, what I want to do is I want to make an invisible slip stitch. So to do that, take your stitch marker off and place your hook through that first stitch of the round. And then take your loop, your working loop here, and making sure that it's not tangled, just pull it through the back piece of your pie here, and then chain 1 and turn your piece around. So this is a more seamless way of finishing your round. And what you will do now for round 7 is you will just single crochet across all the stitches, but in the back loop only. So here you have your V, your crochet stitch. This is the back loop, and go ahead and place a single crochet there. So continue along your piece by placing 1 single crochet in the back loop only, like so. And I will meet you at the end of this round to continue with our pattern. So I have finished my round 7, and from now onwards what we will start working is the sides of our pie. So we will continue increasing, but we wanted a more gradual increase. So over the next few rounds we will make 3 increases in each round. So for this next round here, for round 8, we will make an increase until we've got 39 single crochets. For round 9 we will make an increase so that it's 42 single crochets. For round 10, 45, until we reach round 11, where we will have 48 stitches. So I have now finished my round 11, and you can see the pie sides here are shaping up quite nicely. So what I will do is I will again connect my first stitch with my last stitch. So take your hook and go through that first stitch, and then place your loop over your hook, making sure it's not tangled, and then pull it through that first stitch and sort of bring it together. And that is again your invisible slip stitch, and then you'll chain 1. So for this next round we will work this crimped edge here, and we will do that in the front loop only. To start our crimped edge, just go with your hook through the front loop only, pull a loop and bring it out, yarn over, go through that front loop, yarn over again and pull it through, and you will have 4 loops on your hook, and then yarn over and go through, yarn over again and pull it through, and you should now have 6 loops on your hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And at this point just yarn over and very carefully pull your hook through all of these loops like so, and then go to your next stitch, again front loop only, and slip stitch into it like so. Okay, so let's do this one more time. Take your hook, yarn over and pull it through, yarn over again and go through that stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over again and go through that front loop, yarn over and pull it through, and you should have again 6 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through these loops as carefully as you can, and then go to the next stitch in that front loop only and slip stitch. And this is what you will do all across your piece, and that will give you this really nice edging. So go ahead and complete this round 12, and I will meet you at the end of our round to show you how we start creating the filling for our pie. I have just finished doing round 12, so the crimping is looking really nice, and I've gone ahead and snipped off the yarn as this is the last round for the pie crust. And what I want to do now is I want to finish up this piece here. I want to connect my last stitch, which was a slip stitch, to the first one, and to do that in the most seamless of ways. So what I will do is I will go between the back loop that we didn't work on and the front loop that we did, and I will pull this loop to the back of my piece like so. Okay, and I will then pull this yarn through and I will secure it with my darning needle on the inside here of my crust. And the next thing is to attach our filling yarn, the orange yarn that we've got here. Now, to attach our new yarn, take your stitch marker off that first stitch here, the back loop that we didn't work in our previous round, and leave a bit of a yarn tail so you can secure this later on, but chain one and tighten. And in that same stitch, do a slip stitch like this. So what we'll go ahead and do for this round is we'll work in that free back loop from the previous round, and we will make a series of slip stitches like so. So go all around your piece in all 48 stitches and make a slip stitch in the free back loop from round 12. Now you'll make a single crochet in the back loop of all these slip stitches. So again, go to the back loop only. Let me show you this a bit more closely. Front and back loop, and you'll go into the back loop only, and you'll do a single crochet like so. And so now you can see how our pattern is progressing. We will now start making the decreases to make the top of our little pumpkin pie. So to do that, you don't need to do an invisible join or anything like that. We'll just continue working in the round. But what you will do is you will make 2 invisible decreases. And to do that, take your stitch marker off. And to work an invisible decrease, you will go into the front loop of your first stitch, and then in the front loop of your second stitch. Let's pick up just the front loop like so, and then you'll work a normal single crochet, and that is your first decrease. Let me show you this one more time. Front loop only, front loop only, and then work your normal single crochet. And once you've done 2 single crochets, two invisible decreases, you will work 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then again, 2 invisible decreases. That's 1. And the second one, followed by 4 single crochets. And just work in the same fashion, repeating 2 decreases followed by 4 single crochets all around your piece, and at the end you should have reduced your stitch count. You should have 36 stitches. So I'll go ahead, work this round of decreases, and meet you back for starting round 16. I will continue by making a number of decreases along across the next round. So for round 16, I will make 2 invisible decreases followed by 2 single crochets. And at the end of that round, I will place a little piece of cardboard cut to the same size as the bottom of the pie here at the bottom to help my crochet pie retain its shape. And I will also start filling my little crochet pattern, my crochet pie, with some of toy stuffing and yarn ends. I will continue making further decreases. So for round 17, I will make 1 invisible decrease and then followed that by 2 single crochets. So that will give me 18 stitches. And then for round 18, I will make 1 invisible decrease and then I will make 1 single crochet, and that will give me 12 single crochets in total. And then in the last round, round 19, I will make an invisible decrease across all my stitches so that I have 6 stitches left. So for the purposes of this tutorial, what I will go ahead and do is I will work a number of these decreases and come back to show you at which point I would be putting in place the little eyes of my amigurumi. I have just completed round 17 and I've got 18 single crochets all around. If you are just making a traditional pie and just want to decorate it with cream or with lattice, you can just continue making the decreases. If you are making this into an amigurumi, then this is the time to start placing your eyes. So what I like to do is I note where this seam is up here. It's a fairly invisible sort of end to the round, but if I can, I would like to cover that with the cream. And therefore this is how my pie will be looking if it was sort of upright. And then I just decide to go here and go in the last sort of stitch and just place my eyes just underneath the halfway point of the little pudding. So I'll go ahead and place them directly opposite each other, something like that. Now that I have placed the eyes in a position that I like and I have secured them in place, I will go ahead and continue making my decreases. Once you're happy with how your amigurumi is looking in terms of the placement of the eyes, but also in terms of how well stuffed it is, then it's time to close this opening here. And I will do that by taking my darning needle and going in and out of these front loops, remaining loops of the 6 single crochets. Now this doesn't have to be exact, of course. And once I've gone through all of them, I will just close this like so and just cinch it well together to make it as seamless as possible. And if I find some little gaps here in the way that my stitches are, I'll just go in and out with that yarn just to close them up so that they are a bit less visible. So go ahead, weave in the rest of your yarn to secure it, and I will meet you to show you how we complete the rest of our little face, and then to show you how we make the cream and the lattice. To make the cheeks, you need to take your pink yarn and again make a magic circle, and this time make 5 single crochets into that magic circle. Once you've made those 5 single crochets, just close the magic circle like so by pulling that yarn tail, and then slip stitch into that first single crochet like so. snip off your yarn, and then to secure it, just do a chain 1, and then what I suggest you do is that you play around with your piece to see where you would like your cheeks. So I like to offset them, just put them between the eye and the crust and just underneath the eyes. So to make the mouth, just decide where you want its placement again. So I'll take my yarn and I'll go behind those 2 stitches. Like so. And then I'll go couple of rounds down in the middle of those 2 stitches. And then I will try and take my needle and come out again from the same area where I went down. And then with my needle, I'll go back down the area where I came from and then take it up in whichever part I want to. So do that very carefully. Play around with it. Don't pull the yarn too hard. And if you want to make your little mouth a bit thicker, just go over it a second time with your yarn. But apart from that, you will just need to weave in your ends, and your little amigurumi is now ready. So next step is to actually do the cream that will decorate the top of our amigurumi. To start making your cream, take your white yarn, make a slip knot, and then chain 22 chains. And once you have 22 chains, you will go to the 3rd chain from hook. So this one here doesn't count, so 1, 2, 3. You'll go in this one and you'll place a half double crochet like so. You'll chain 1 and you'll make another half double crochet in the same chain space. You'll now go to the 2nd, to the chain after that, and you'll make a half double crochet, chain 1, and a half double crochet in the same place. And you'll continue along this way by placing a half double crochet, chain 1, and a second half double crochet in each of the chains that you've made. So you should have a piece that looks a bit like this. You should now chain 2 and slip stitch into that initial chain here. Now I have to leave a bit of a yarn tail, so I will go in and out through the base of that original chain. So try and unfurl your piece and just very approximately go in and out your original chain. So after you've weaved this in and out, you can just pull this yarn together like so. So then after you've cinched your cream closed, you can just place it on top of your crochet little pumpkin pie face, your amigurumi, and just sew it in place. And that means that your crochet pumpkin pie will be ready. But if you would like a different finish to your little crochet pie, I will now show you how to make a lattice to decorate it. So to make this lattice, you will take the same light brown yarn that we used to make the crust. You'll make a slip knot and then you will chain 16. And then what you will do is you will go to the 2nd chain from hook. So this one here doesn't count. This is the 1st and this is the 2nd. And you will make a round of single crochets. And you should end up having 15 single crochets. Once you reach the end of your chain here, you will just snip off the yarn and pull it through your loop, and you will end up with two little bits of yarn at the very end. You don't need to make them too long, just a few inches long will do, because we will use these yarn ends to secure the lattice on the one side. So here I'm at the end of my piece, so I can show you exactly what I mean. And that is my last single crochet, like so. Snip off the yarn and pull your loop like that. So make two of these. So chain another 16 and place single crochets all along the piece, so you have 15. And then what you will go ahead and do is you will do the same, but you will chain 13 in order to make 12 single crochets, and you will make 4 of these smaller pieces. So to place your lattice in the right space, you can do that in whichever way you prefer. What I like to do is I like to find the center bubbles here, the center kind of pieces of the lattice, and place the larger one, the larger piece of 15 single crochets, like so. And I weave in the one side which has the yarn ends. And now I will do the same across with the other piece, like so. And you can see here I've also done it with 2 out of the 4 shorter pieces. So I'll go ahead and weave in this one. I'll show you how it's done, and then I'll go ahead and place the other 2. I will only weave and secure one end of these little lattice pieces so that I can show you how to pull it together so it looks like a normal pie. So take the darning needle and go in the middle bubble or sort of crimped piece of crust, I suppose. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pieces here. So here the 6th piece will be our middle piece. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is the piece that I will weave this in. So open this a bit so you can see the edge part that you created. Don't go into the orange part, but go into the actual crust and pull one yarn end. And then do the same with the other yarn, the other piece of yarn, and try and go to the other side of the little bubble that we've created with our crust. So go just on this side here. And again, try and go through the crust itself and not the orange filling. And once I'm at this other side, you will see that the yarn ends are coming out of this piece that is partially covered by the pie crust. So I can very quickly just do a little knot, secure this in place, and then weave in the ends. So I will weave these ends at the very end, but I'll go ahead and show you how to attach these other pieces as well, and where my recommended placement of those would be. So if you have your pie that goes like this, and this is where some pins come in handy so you can secure this in place. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this larger one would go here. And then let's take a pin. This one here is just separated by one crust. So it would be something like that. And then the other piece would similarly be sewn from this side here to this side here. So I'll go ahead and sew each of the sides, one of the sides of the remaining pieces, and come back to show you how we can weave in the lattice and secure everything in place. So now that we've sort of attached the one end of each of our lattice pieces, let's try and weave this nicely together. So just like with a normal lattice, you would go over and then under and then over again. So this would be the first strand, and then just secure it back in place until you're able to sew it together. So this is over, so the next one should be under, and this one now should be over, and the next one under. And again, secure this in place with a pin until we are able to sew it in place. And now let's go to our last piece here. So if this was over, then this little piece here needs to be under now. And so I can go ahead and secure it again in its place here. And this guy will be over, but it will be under this next one and over the last one. So let me get a few more pins, because it should reach this one here. And this one here. And this one here. So there you go. This has now been properly weaved in together. And to secure it and finish it off, I will take again a normal needle or a darning needle threaded with this nylon thread. And the great thing about it is that this will be practically invisible. So what I will go ahead and do now is sew in place these remaining pieces and come back and show you the end product. And once you've sewn the lattice in place, your pie is officially ready. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this pattern. I hope you enjoyed seeing how to make your own mini crochet pumpkin pie. And indeed, if you just change up the filling, you can make it into a blueberry pie, an apple pie, a berry pie, whatever your heart desires. And of course, I hope you try both of these finishes, one to make it into an amigurumi face and one with a lattice. And of course, remember that you can always put the little cream on top of the lattice as well, if you prefer. So I hope you give these little crochet pies a go. And if you want more information about how to make the smaller size, please check the link in the description box below for the full written pattern. Happy crochet!